I've noticed a bait and switch among many feminists as they try to fight the patriarchy. They behave in a completely deplorable way, and then when they're justly criticized, pretend that what the person is criticizing is the idea that men and women should be equal players in society. In other words, they're bad feminists. But when criticized, they pretend to be good feminists. So to clear up any confusion, here's how to tell if you're a good feminist or a bad feminist. You post a blog post or a video pointing to a problem you see in society. Someone comes along and criticizes you. What do? If you use your freedom of speech to counter his freedom of speech, you're a good feminist, even if your response is nothing more than an insulting put-down. However, if you delete his comment, turn off commenting entirely, or even have your readers flag his Twitter account and have him suspended, you're a bad feminist. How do you portray women in our society? If you portray them as being every bit as capable as men, if only they're given an equal opportunity, you're a good feminist. If you portray them as helpless victims who need government to hold their hand and take care of them, you're a bad feminist. How should we strive to make men and women equal in society? If you think we should work to remove biases that tend to result in fewer opportunities for women, such as how our culture raises children or views the role of women in familial and professional life, you're a good feminist. If you think we should use force to take money or whatever from men to give to women to make the results equal, not just opportunities, you're a bad feminist. You come out in opposition to female genital mutilation. Someone comes along and says we should be against male genital mutilation too. How do you respond? If you agree and say, let's work together to stop all forms of infant genital mutilation regardless of gender, you're a good feminist. If you dismiss him, or say female genital mutilation is worse, or in any other way downplay the harm and prevalence of male infant circumcision, you're a bad feminist. You look at statistics and realize that, on average, women are paid less for doing the same job. What is your recommended course of action? If you think we should study the issue to see the underlying causes of the disparity, such as differences in work history, and work to fix them, you're a good feminist. If you think we should pass a law forcing employers to pay women the same amount, regardless of work history or whatever, then you're a bad feminist. What is your opinion on legalizing prostitution? If you're for it because it will empower female sex workers to be more autonomous and not have to rely on pimps, and also give them things like police protection against abusers, you're a good feminist. If you're against it because it's exploiting and objectifying women, or that sex between consenting adults somehow automatically becomes rape when money is involved, you're a bad feminist. Here's a related question. A peer-reviewed scientific study is released showing that legalized prostitution results in decreases in the rates of rape and other violence against women, as well as STDs. How do you react? If you say, goody, you're a good feminist. If you accuse the study's authors and the journal of being part of a conspiracy of the patriarchy, you're a bad feminist. Someone comes along with a contest to encourage more women to get involved in video game design. Even women who don't know how to code can enter. The group running the contest will do all of the game development of the top 5 designs at their own expense and give the entrants a share of the profits, with the rest going to charity, with the rights still being held by the entrant, who could always take her game elsewhere and run it for a profit if she wants to. The contest is also open to transgendered people who self-identified as female prior to the contest. How do you react to this? If you congratulate them on getting more women involved in game design and programming, you're a good feminist. If you complain vociferously, saying they're exploiting women and that they're transphobic, dox the head of the corporation, DDoS their website, and whip up all this negative publicity which causes them to lose donations, you're a bad feminist. Society begins to value people who are underweight. Fashion magazines and TV shows feature grossly underweight women and present them as being the norm for sexy. You oppose this standard for women. But why? If you oppose this standard because real women have curves and men should love the bootay, and you applaud the pop and rap songs about loving the large, and or you think that saying anything bad about women being fat makes you a sexist pig who objectifies women, and no one wants to hug a stick anyway, you're a bad feminist. If you oppose this standard because it is a standard, because beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and we should all learn to look below the surface, and People need to understand that being too fat or too skinny is a health issue, and we should all work to maintain a more ideal weight. Then you're a good feminist. A man and a woman who don't know each other are alone in an elevator. The man asks the woman out for coffee. The woman politely refuses, and they share a silent but awkward elevator ride the rest of the way. How do you feel about the situation? If you feel that maybe the guy was an inconsiderate jerk for doing it at an inappropriate time and making her uncomfortable for the rest of the elevator ride, but otherwise did nothing wrong, you're a good feminist. If you call this a potential rape scenario, as if the simple fact that he's a man means he's a rapist about to go off at any second, despite all the evidence that rapes almost never happen in such a scenario and are much more likely in other ordinary everyday situations, you're a bad feminist. You point out ways that bias negatively affects women in society. Someone comes along and shows bias against males too, such as the plight of male rape victims or the one-sided actions in divorce and child custody cases. How do you respond? If you agree that all forms of sexism are bad and we should work to eliminate them, you're a good feminist. If you say that these are also problems of the patriarchy and that these men are to blame for what happens to them as a result, you're a bad feminist. You've raised a whole bunch of money online to make videos about tropes in video games that are sexist to women. What are your videos like? If you point to the problems that actually do exist, while congratulating the gaming community on all of the positive female characters it has created over the decades and the progress it's made from the early days, you're a good feminist. If you cherry-pick only the ones that make your case and ignore stronger or more modestly dressed female characters, if you openly lie about the female characters and how the gameplay surrounding them goes, and even go so far as to fabricate your own Let's Play video to pretend that an activity the game penalizes you for, like killing prostitutes and playing with their dead bodies, is something you're encouraged to do, you're a bad feminist. A woman falsely accuses a few college athletes of raping her. Once it comes out that she lied, how do you react? If you vehemently deplore the woman for negatively affecting women who have legitimately been raped, you're a good feminist. If you think that the woman must have been telling the truth anyway, and all the evidence is just propaganda from the vast patriarchal conspiracy, you're a bad feminist. Especially if you continue to do so after she's convicted of murdering her boyfriend. All your online activism has caused you to receive backlash, including death threats. What do you do? If you accept that this happens to anyone who holds a controversial opinion online and ignore the threats that aren't credible while alerting the authorities to the ones that are, while keeping it all quiet while the investigations go on as the police tell you to do, you're a good feminist. If you undermine any potential investigation by making it all public, claim that only feminists get this kind of treatment, and or use it to play the victim card for all it's worth, you're a bad feminist. Here's a simple one. Have you ever used the terms mansplaining or check your privilege in response to a refutation of your claims? Yes, you're a bad feminist. No, you're a good feminist. A group of top free activists gets the law in the city changed so that women are legally allowed to go shirtless anywhere men are. How do you react? If you congratulate the activists and politicians that changed the law to make it equal to all regardless of gender, you're a good feminist. If you complain that this is objectification of women and that any topless women will be instantly raped by men who just can't help themselves, you're a bad feminist. A woman who's had a bit too much to drink at a party asks a man to have sex with her and he obliges. What's your reaction? If you believe that women are responsible for their own actions, including actions taken after getting drunk of their own free will, you're a good feminist. If you think the man is in any way a rapist, you're a bad feminist. And finally, you're watching this video and you see a description of a bad feminist that makes them seem like horrible people. What is your reaction? If it's, great, I must be a good feminist then, you're a good feminist. If you start bloviating about how it's all straw man arguments, even though all of these examples are taken from reality, and that I'm on some kind of agenda to make feminists look bad instead of bad feminists making feminists look bad, then you are a bad feminist, and moreover, you sadly haven't learned a thing from this video.